Coming up on today's show, we are breaking down what Joel Klatt has said about Alabama and a possible hypothetical matchup between the Crimson Tide and the Ohio State Buckeyes. And also, I want to talk a little bit about the coaching carousel right now around college football. And I'll be honest, some Alabama fans are probably going to get a little bit irritated that I'm even going to bring this up on today's show. But hey, it's my job at the end of the day. I want you guys to help me out first, though. Make sure you guys share today's video. I want this video to get out in front of as many Alabama fans as possible. So, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you name it, help me out and share today's show. All right, first up on today's show, Fox Sports college football analyst Joel Klatt has recently made some comments / predictions about Alabama and, possibly, what it would look like if maybe they went up against the Ohio State Buckeyes. Obviously, Ohio State right now ranked number 1 in college football, and Alabama is not far behind them at number 4. We're going to break down a couple different quotes here from Joel Klatt, so make sure you just, pay attention and stay with us here. This is the first quote from Joel Klatt saying, if you did just like a side-by-side comparison with Alabama and Ohio State, and you started looking at these teams, just these two teams and how they're built and the way that they play defense, it's not even close. It's really not even comparable. I think we would all agree with that. Ohio State's defense is clearly the best defense in college football. That I would definitely agree with there. He continues on saying that they've got 2 of the best players in the sport, and then, there's some other 2 probably going to be All-Americans. So they've got 4 All-American caliber players on their defense. They've given up 41 total points in 7 games this year. Alabama's defense is not that. I think we can all agree on that. Now, I'll be honest, I do agree on pretty much everything there that Joel Klatt said, because when you look at the 2 side by side, Alabama's defense versus Ohio State's defense, there is a clear edge for Ohio State. They brought in Matt Patricia, and he has been absolutely incredible. They have Caleb Downs, they have Arvell Reese, they've got a bunch of players that have really made this defense for Ohio State hum. Now, you could also, if you're an Alabama fan, if you're a fan of the SEC, you might make the argument that they're not necessarily going up against the best competition. I'll leave that up to you there. But, when you're talking about allowing other teams to score, they're only allowing 5.8 points per game. That is number 1 in college football. They're also number 1 in third down percentage as well, only allowing opposing offenses to convert on third downs only 21% of the time. If there's one thing that Alabama's beating them on, though, it is the fact that they are getting some more turnovers here. So there's a couple more quotes that I want to talk about that I kind of disagree with. That one, though, I definitely do agree with. All right, so in a hypothetical matchup, look, it's the bye week, right? We can talk about a lot of crazy stuff right now. Who do you guys got in a hypothetical matchup? And it might not even be hypothetical. These teams could very well meet in the college football playoffs, if not the national championship game. So let me know right now who you would pick in a one-on-one matchup here. Type A for Alabama or O for Ohio State at the pinned comment of today's video. Now, Joel Klatt continued on talking about Alabama versus Ohio State. He said, then you've got the run game, and you can say, well, they're comparable, but, the edge is probably to Ohio State. I mean, Alabama's 15th in the SEC in rushing in conference. I'm looking at some of these numbers, and I'm like, hold on a second. LSU and Oklahoma run it better per carry, and I'm like, what? Ohio State's not great at running the football. They're better by an average of yards per carry than Alabama, though. And then you go well, Alabama's got the passing game edge. And then you're like, well, do they? Look, he said, both of these teams have an elite passing game. The margin between, the number 1 team in the country and the number 4 team in the country is actually kind of wide. And that's the part that I really don't know if I totally agree with Joel Klatt on. Ohio State does have some issues running the football. Alabama as well has some issues running the football. We all know about that. The rotation on the offensive line, the fact that Jam Miller missed, the first 4 weeks of the season and then ended up getting knocked out against, I think that was against Missouri, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, late in that game there. Alabama's run game has definitely been inconsistent. But I think you can make the argument, like Joel Klatt did there, saying Ohio State, their run game has been a little bit inconsistent as well. Now, when it comes to the passing attack here, I think both of these teams are pretty much the same. You look at Ty Simpson versus Julian Sayin here, it's kind of crazy that both of these guys, for about a week, were in the same quarterback room. Ty Simpson, he's been absolutely incredible by all accounts this year. He is taking care of the football. He's being extremely efficient. He's making all the right plays. He's making some absolute psychotic throws in a good way, I want to say, in some tight windows that you see him on third down sometimes, and you're like, my God, this dude is an absolute freak. Julian Sayin, meanwhile, right now, he is completing 80% of all of his passes right now. And I will say, too, Ohio State isn't necessarily airing it out like Alabama is right now. Julian Sayin's thrown the ball 195 times. Ty Simpson has thrown the ball 261 times. So when you think about that, obviously, Ty Simpson's completion percentage is going to be a little bit lower than that. But, maybe you can make an argument that Ohio State might have a little bit, of the edge on the wide receivers. I think that is also an argument that could be had as well. Either way, I think the margin between these two teams right now, I think it would be an incredible football game. And I'll be honest, I don't know who I would pick right now if it was today who would win in a matchup. I think Ohio State's got the better defense, and their offense does struggle at times. So I think that would be a very, very fun matchup. And to be honest with you guys, I kind of do think these are the best two teams in the country. So pick a quarterback for me. This one's fun as well. Who would you rather have starting on Saturdays? Type T if you would pick Ty Simpson, or type J if you would pick Julian Sayin. All right, we'll come back to that coaching carousel stuff here in just a second, but this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks, and the weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. This is what our guy Aiden cooked up for talking about Ohio State today, for Ohio State versus Penn State, going with Carnell Tate, more than receiving yards, going up against Penn State this weekend. This would be the second game, I believe, for Ethan Gruckmeyer there, going with the less than on longest completion, 32.5 yards there, and then Julian Sayin more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. Guys, Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning that you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. You want more than on Josh Allen pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns? Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. On Prize Picks, by the way, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose the Flex Play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payout, go for the Power Play. No matter your play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. So download the Prize Picks app today and use promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That link's down in the comment section and the description of today's video. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right, so currently right now across college football, there are 11 teams that are going to be looking for their new head coaches going into next season. You've seen a ton of different type of, power teams out there, Power 4 conference teams, whether it's LSU, Florida, Penn State. There is a lot of teams right now looking for new head coaches across college football. And, there have been a lot of the same names when it comes to these, college football coaching searches who have been thrown out there. Lane Kiffin right now is the number one name that keeps getting thrown around, whether it's for LSU, whether it's for Florida. Eli Drinkowitz has been thrown out there, mentioned for both of those teams as well. James Franklin is going to be looking to, be a head coach of a different team next year as well. Also, some interesting ones I think would be fun. Joe Brady back in 2019, he was that, passing game coordinator / wide receivers coach, whatever it was, for LSU when they won the national championship game. Brian Hartline, offensive coordinator for Ohio State right now. We put Matt Rule in here just because he was a guy that had been mentioned, but actually, on Thursday morning, I believe is when it actually went down. Matt Rule ended up signing a, contract extension there with Nebraska. So he's actually out of it now, but there's a bunch of names on this list. But there is one name that I want to bring up here in just a second. But Lane Kiffin is really the number one name right now around college football to get a new head coaching job. So I want to hear from you guys down inside the comment section. Will Lane Kiffin be at Ole Miss next season? Let me know what you guys think. Type Y for yes or N for no down inside the comments section of today's video. Will Lane Kiffin be the head coach of Ole Miss next season? Now, I kind of think right now, a lot of Alabama fans are going to be mad that I am even bringing this up. But is Ryan Grubb being forgotten about in the coaching carousel right now? Alabama fans, they're not going to like that I'm even talking about this. But let's be honest with ourselves. If Nick Saban was still the head coach at Alabama right now, Ryan Grubb was the offensive coordinator, don't you think that he would probably be getting at least some interest when it comes to these head coaching candidate jobs? When he was the offensive coordinator at Washington, when they went to the national championship game, they had Michael Penix Jr. as a Heisman finalist. Now this season, they've got Ty Simpson being talked about as a Heisman finalist as well. I think he has proven at this point that his offense is efficient in the SEC. He can even, recruit in the SEC as well. I think maybe a little bit has to do with the fact that he got fired as the offensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks last season. But look, Ryan Grubb will get head coaching consideration eventually. It is going to happen. It does just kind of surprise me that a little bit that his name hasn't really been mentioned during this coaching cycle. So will Ryan Grubb get a head coaching offer this season? Let me know what you guys think down inside the comments section. Type 1 if you think he will, or type 0 if you think he's going to be still at Alabama next season.